Hello my friends and welcome back. Happy hump day, it is Wednesday, the spine of the week has been broken. Just like you in the east coast of the US will break the spine of that upcoming snowstorm. I know it will be big, it will be scary, but it won't be so scary when you have wine from Ukraine. This art wine bottle comes from the cellars of Bakhmut. Art wine Flamingo edition, just like the missile Ukraine produces. Go and get it, link in the description below, and drink some Ukrainian wine when the storm is going crazy outside, because you couldn't care less about the storm. You have art wine. Also, maybe you want to spend Valentine's Day with your loved ones sipping Ukrainian wine. Here's a way to do that. But now, my friends, there's a storm in the front lines of Ukraine also. And there's a certain penguin who got lost. Let's share the story of that penguin. Let's share the final seconds of that Russian penguin.
But one of them caught our eye, the one in the center. He would neither go towards the feeding grounds at the edge of the ice, nor return to the colony. Shortly afterwards, we saw him heading straight towards the mountains, some 70 kilometers away. Dr. Ainley explained that even if he caught him and brought him back to the colony, he would immediately head right back for the mountains. But why?
Why? That's why. Bada bing, bada boom. This penguin was looking for freedom. Yeah, I'm looking for free. You know that song. That penguin was looking for freedom. And he got that freedom when meeting with a Ukrainian drone who liberated him from his Russian origin, Russian identity. He's now on and beyond. This narrator didn't know what this penguin was looking for. I'm telling you, he looked for freedom, found it in Ukraine. Continuing with the unbelievable footage coming out of the Russian army, I'm not even going to explain what goes on here. It will be a punchline at the end of this video. Check it out. The chief donkey specialist has finished. For our four-legged friends, for donkeys Yasha and Masha, sewed such blankets. For winter if it gets too cold. Nothing special. We had to figure out a lot ourselves. They have warm blanket at the bottom. Here you can see. We also made pockets. That is even if the cargo is transported into the front. You can still attach trunks on top of it. So these are the blankets we ended up with. And look at that, here is our Masha with the blanket. Super happy Russian donkey. Well, not so much because he's working for the Russian army, but Ukrainian drone operators usually try to save the animals, lure them away with drones or scare them away and then strike the men. So I hope Masha and Yasha will survive. Our beauty. Now, this man really talks very fondly of the donkeys and is Russian on the front lines. As you put two and two together, I don't know what it's doing to Masha, but I hope Masha is not being treated that way. Anyway, I hope these Ukrainian drone operators will save Masha and Yasha and make them Ukrainian. You thought crazy videos are over for this. No, they're not. It gets even worse. How can you get worse from a Russian penguin and Russian donkeys? I kid you not. 3 Russian soldiers just surrendered to the Ukrainian UGV unmanned ground vehicle with a Browning 12.7mm attached on top. I mean, that's the frontline Wally, that's a Ukrainian Wally, and Russian soldiers surrendered to it. Let's watch it happening in front of our eyes. This is a historical moment. The future is now, old man. Look at that. Straight from the camera of the frontline Wally, one comes out, the other one comes out. Where's the third one? Don't worry, my friends, he's just a slow crawler. He will crawl out of the rabbit hole or rat nest, whatever they have there. These two got out, and the third one here, a little bit bloody but still alive. They all want to be free from the shackles of being Russian, so they surrender to the robot. They lay down on the ground. I'm guessing there's a speaker on that robot which says to them what to do. This is crazy, the instance that this is happening even. There's a drone up above also because these guys are looking up above all the time, expecting the death hit every moment, but it doesn't come. Because they made the wise choice of becoming free. And now they are alive and free. Look at that. Would you have even guessed? Hey, I know the statistics who watches my channel. It's the majority who watch are like 60 to 80 years old. A lot of you went to Vietnam. You were there. Would you have imagined this would be the reality in 50 years, 70 years? Russian soldiers surrendering the Ukrainian robots. Oh, that's insane. Yeah, I wish I could tell you the weird stories are over and we could get to serious stuff, but no, it's Russia. It keeps on giving. In Russia, an import-substituted Cybertruck has been unveiled. An electric van priced around $70,000. It turned out that behind the flashy stainless armor is a Chinese Bao V70 EV platform. So it's a Chinese truck that they import and they put some Cybertruck looking panels on top of it and sell it with a $50,000 extra. The Chinese truck cost about $15,000. They sell it with $70,000. And it looks like that. See, I'm not a fan of Elon Musk. I'm not a fan of Tesla. And I'm not a fan of Cybertruck. I think it represents everything wrong with humanity. And I don't see Tesla in any way as savior of the climate. In no way. So they want to remake the Cybertruck, which is one of the most horrible electric vehicle ever made in the history of electric vehicles. I think this Chinese truck is even better. And they want to remake that. You know what I would call it? A Wank-panzer. It's a Wank-panzer. Look at that. That's a Cybertruck, and it truly is a Wank-panzer. If you see anyone driving a Cybertruck, please let them know they are driving a Wank-panzer, because that's what it is. Alright, now we can get a little bit more serious, but not so much. Here are videos that came out yesterday of Russians pulling out of Syria. Yes, they still feel some 2 to 3 military bases there. And they were trying to get the deal with the new Syrian government after Assad fell. And they haven't been able to do that, so now they're pulling out. This is one of the bases on the northern edge of the country. And they're loading everything onto cargo planes. BTRs, trucks, jeeps, even fighter jets and choppers actually, taking them apart, putting them on the planes. They're pulling out. For Russia, this means the loss of yet another stronghold. This specific base on the northern part of Syria was a launching ground into other operations, into Sudan, for example, or in any kind of African country where Wagner is operating. This was the pit stop, or the stop where the planes refueled and logistical hub, you could say. Now they're losing that. This symbolizes the fall and the crack of the Russian Empire. Every such stronghold that they lose is another crack in the wall, and finally it all comes crumbling down. But thanks to this nice little operator here, we find out how the Russians left that base and what they were doing inside. Since 2019 nobody was inside that base, because then the Russians were there. Now we see what they left behind.
Hi, my name is Ambryn Zaman, and I'm Chief Correspondent for Al Monitor. We're the first media organization to enter this Russian base here in Kamishla, northeast Syria, after it was abandoned by Russian forces about 2 days ago, according to local Kurdish security forces.
Whey protein on top of a ping pong table tennis table. And that has also biceps curl thingy on top. A lot of debris everywhere. Then a boxing bag filled with tape, so they were bunching that thing heavy.
So here you can see some of the equipment they used for recreation. There's a ping pong table. There's a punching bag, I guess, to practice.
That's a really correct way to say that from the operator. Punching bag, I guess, because, yeah, that's the I guess one here.
Some potatoes and carrots.
Always with the potatoes and carrots. Whenever the Russian army is, there's potatoes and carrots.
It's a pretty miserable place.
Yeah. Look at that.
Here you see.
That's not occupied Ukrainian land. They do that they loot the houses and steal the toilets, and that's how they leave the houses. That's their military base. That's how they are in Syria. Imagine how they are in Russia. It's the same.
All the rubbish that they've left behind. These forces have been here since 2015, which is when Syria's dictator Bashar al-Assad invited Russian forces to come defend him against a Sunni.
Yeah, that defense didn't end up good. I remember covering that fall of Assad regime. It took about 1.5 weeks. It was beautiful to watch. Russia could do nothing. They were in their bases practicing boxing and eating whey protein. That's what they were doing.
Led uprising. Their future has seemed uncertain since December 2024, which is when Ahmed al-Shara, the current interim president of Syria, took over. Shara is a former al-Qaeda militant who's now been embraced by the international community and whose forces are now engaged in conflict with the Syrian Kurdish forces who have now taken over this base. Here's the other Russian base where you still see the Russian flag flying.
Not for long.
They also are still at Kamishli airport, but nobody knows for how long.
Yeah, good riddance. Any country which Russians are leaving is gaining a lot. So in this case, Syria is winning a lot. Like Donald Trump says, Syrians are winning a lot because Russians are moving out. That's good. Now an interesting fact for you. Now I'm here definitely not to make fun about this. This is a very serious topic, but it just illustrates something going on in the Russian society behind the scenes, because they don't want to show that stuff on national TV. How antidepressant sales grew in the Russian pharmacies. See, 2022, the invasion began. 13 million packages. In 4 years of the war, it has risen by 100%. 22.3 million packages sold annually. So this is a massive, massive increase in antidepressants. Now in Russia, of course, they don't really believe in mental health. They mostly live in the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s. So mental health is a thing for the weak for them. So men choose usually to drink and do drugs or resort to violence. But the increase of this shows that there is a rise in depression, rise in acknowledging that depression. It just shows you the cracks in the Russian society and the tension in the Russian society. It's not a funny thing. I myself, I'm on antidepressants, and I have been for the last 5 years now. Very strong ones I take, and they do help me big time. And if you are also on them, if you have PTSD or any kind of disorder that requires these pills, I totally understand you, and sometimes other people who don't require these pills find it really hard to understand that issue. So in this news, I'm definitely not here to make fun about this, and I hope these people also get help what they need. But when Russians getting sad, big sad, because, you know, they're losing the war in Ukraine, I want to show you a piece of Ukrainian positivity, how they're dealing with this war. Regular people. One question. Why are we being asked to stock up on food for several days? And the answer? They don't ask you to stock up on iodine, so that's good news. That's the massive sarcasm of Ukrainian positivity, how they get through this war. When they ask you to stock up on iodine, you know you're screwed. You know you're gonna be in the on and beyond in a few days. There's not gonna be a nuclear war. Don't worry, they didn't ask you to stock up on iodine. It's only food, so you can laugh and smile. Now let's travel closer to my home country, the Baltic Sea, which includes the Danish Strait and the Finnish Gulf, and it includes every last ship that wants to go in and out of St. Petersburg, which is a lot of ships from the Russian Shadow Fleet. So far, Estonia, Finland and Germany have taken decisive action. Germany blocked one of the ships, Finland seized a few of the ships, and Estonia also blocked one of the ships. But now we have a combined agreement of all future Russian Shadow Fleet ships, they will be seized. 14 European countries have announced that they are closing the Baltic Sea to Russian so-called Shadow Fleet, according to the joint statement released by the UK government. The countries warned that tankers concealing their origin by changing flags, switching off transporters or operating without proper documentation will be treated as vessels without nationality. Such ships may be detained without legal risks. I hope to see a sharp increase in detaining Russian ships Just taking them, putting them to the ports of whichever of these nations, and that's it. Russia does not get back the ship. They do not get back the oil. One ship is worth carrying hundreds of millions of worth of oil, so that's a massive money loss for Russia. Again, money which will be used to produce missiles which kill Ukrainian children. So it's a very good decision here. Now let's travel to Moscow, where the good and honest Russian state again decided to provide Moscow residents with free fireworks on the expanse of the state. Always love to see that. This is one of the substations, 110 kilowatt substation in one of the Moscow suburbs, and look what it's doing. On the expanse of the Russian state, free fireworks for everybody. All these cars, they get to watch this nice free fireworks and they have to pay nothing. So that's what the state gives back. After that it goes dark, of course, because that's the price, you gotta pay that. But you get a few seconds of free fireworks, which is always really nice. Look how pretty it was. The whole sky was flashing. Spraznikom. Yeah. Yeah, if I don't have to say, it was the Ukrainians who struck it. I feel like I have to say, I make such jokes that I feel like I have to mention that in the end. Yeah, Ukrainians blew it up. Now, my friends, let's see how Russians like or dislike the Ukrainian army point system. Ukrainians have this infamous point system that makes them increasingly effective in destroying Russian army. Everything. A soldier that destroys anything Russian gets points for it, which he can get gear or city permits or everything for it. Check it out. Brigades of the 3rd Corps at the top in destroying the enemy with drones. Units of the 3rd Army Corps, 3rd Assault Brigade and the BBS of the 63rd Motor Rifle Brigade entered the top 10 in terms of destroying the enemy with drones and became the best among all units of the land forces in 2025. Thus, at the event Drone Army 25, the best units were honored by the Minister of Defense and the President of Ukraine. According to the program, Drone Army bonus, destroying the enemy with unmanned means is converted into electronic points. The more successful hits, the more new drones for eliminating enemy targets. So yeah, for these points you get better ammo, better weapons, better drones. The more you kill, the more you get to kill more. It's a very efficient system that filters out the best units that get even more and more. And if the unit is not so good, it doesn't get new stuff. It's a very efficient and innovative way to make sure best units get best stuff and the people and officers are motivated to kill more of the enemy. It's genius, and the Russians don't really like it. 2 brigades of the Corps in the rating at once, on confirmation of systematic work, effective crew training and the leadership of the 3 in the use of UAVs on the battlefield. 3rd Army Corps. That's wonderful. I know we're jumping around geographically a lot, and now we're doing it again. We're going to Poland, and this is the Poland-Belarusian border. This is the new Iron Curtain. Poland is fortifying the hell out of it. These are anti-tank dragon's teeth, or whichever, hedgehogs, made out of European Union concrete, not the Russian concrete you can push your finger through. It's really difficult for tanks to cross this, and these borders are monitored by drones, cameras, automatic sensors, everything. So if anything comes, they immediately will be fire missions on top of them, the tanks. These borders are part of the eastern wall that goes continually through Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and then Poland. This is the new Iron Curtain, and I'm so glad they're finally waking up and doing this. This is 30 years too late. And my friends, we will end today's video with another catastrophe of the pipes in Russia. You know all, it's the shit fountain season in Russia. Happy shit fountain season. We go to Omsk, far east. It's very connected to my family lineage because my grandfather was deported close to this city, to Siberia in Russia when he was 4 years old. And now these residents of Omsk are very mad because a water pipe burst again. They were lucky, you know why? Because it was a hot water pipe, not a sewage pipe. Because if it was a sewage pipe, all of this would be brown, beautiful brown fields. And they were covered only with hot steaming water, not with warm steaming shites. So yeah, this is what happens in Russia every winter, and usually it's the sewage pipe. My friends, you are getting the winter storm in the east coast, and we're getting beautiful snow also here in Europe, Central and Northern Europe. Anyway, time with snow best to be enjoyed with the Ukrainian wine straight from Bakhmut, liberated before Wagner goons reached it. Of course, they stole majority of it, but some of them were brought out. Art wine, Flamingo edition, go and get it. Link is in the description below. Until my next video, my friends, which will be on Friday, be sure to subscribe. Until then, Slava Ukraini, and bye bye.